Mr. Speaker, can I thank the government for its action over the last 10 years on Gurkha's resettlement right, but can I encourage it to make sure that its new proposals are much more generous and give the necessary concessions? Will those proposals be implemented in time for us to have the celebration of them during the Armed Forces Celebration Day on the 27th of June?
Well, Mr. Speaker, the honourable gentleman, like the rest of the House, will have to be patient. As I said on the 29th, and as we gave in evidence to the Select Committee also said, we are putting into place new proposals to move towards the point that was made by the House in that debate, but I am optimistic.
Order. I would like to make a statement on members' allowances. We all know that it is the tradition of this House that the Speaker speaks to the whole House. But in doing so, please allow me to say to the men and women of the United Kingdom that we have let you down very badly indeed. We must all accept blame, and to that extent I have contributed to the situation, I am profoundly sorry. Now each and every member, including myself, must work hard to regain your trust. As a matter of urgency, and within 48 hours, I am calling the Prime Minister and party leaders, including the minority parties, to meet with me and other members of the House of Commons Commission. Also present will be the Right Honourable Member for East Lewin. Leaders of all parties have made announcements on what should be done. Some of their proposals are very similar to those put to the House on 3rd of July last year by the Members' Estimates Committee, which I chair, and copies of which are lodged in the Vote Office. I want discussion to centre on the additional cost allowance and all those matters that have caused the greatest controversy and most anger with the public. I include in that early publication of the additional cost allowance, office costs and travel material. While we await the work of the Committee on Standards in Public Life, we must search for agreement so that the Leader of the House can bring forward resolutions to give an opportunity for the House to deal with the immediate situation. In the meantime, I do urge all honourable members not to submit claims for approval. Last week, I had a most productive meeting with Sir Christopher Kelly, who explained to me his hopes to bring reasoned proposals in the autumn. While we await the outcome of his work, it is imperative that we continue to improve our accounts and practice in the interim and get in place measures that work and are seen to be working. And I say again, we all bear a heavy responsibility for the terrible damage to the reputation of this House. We must do everything we possibly can to regain the trust and confidence of the people. Order. A point of order, Mr. Prentice.
A motion of no confidence in you, sir, will appear on the order paper tomorrow. Am I right in thinking it will be debated tomorrow and voted upon?
No, order. This is not a point of order. Order. Please allow me to answer. Please allow me to answer. These are matters for debate on an appropriate motion. Mr. Caswell.
On a point of order, as you'll be aware, members on all sides have now tabled a substantive motion calling for a vote of no confidence in you. When will members be allowed to choose a new Speaker with the moral authority to clean up Westminster and the legitimacy to lift this House out of the mire?
Order. I know that the honourable member has taken... I'll answer. I know the honourable gentleman has taken advice. It's not a substantive motion. It's an early day motion. Well, the honourable gentleman is telling me it's not. Please give me the credit for having some experience in the chair. It's not a substantive motion. It is an early day motion. And the honourable gentleman knows... Order. Order. Well, let me ask the clerk, because I'm wrong. I'll say so. The clerk.
It's a motion on the remaining orders.
It's a motion on the remaining orders. But pardon?
It can only be proceeded with as a substantive motion.
It's a remaining order on the remaining orders. It can only be proceeded with if it becomes a substantive motion. Order. The honourable gentleman.
Sir, there is, as you say, great public anger outside, which undoubtedly has harmed the reputation of this House. We all bear responsibility. I take my share of responsibility like any other honourable member. But can I put this to you, and I'm not associated with the motion, sir. Would you bear in mind that it would be very useful for the reputation of this House, and I say this with reluctance, but I say it all the same, that if you gave some indication of your own intention to retire, your early retirement, sir, would help the reputation of the House.
The honourable member has served under more speakers than I have, and he knows that that's not a subject for today. The honourable gentleman have a point of a...
Mr. Speaker.
Order. The honourable gentleman have a point of order.
I may, Mr. Speaker, on a point of order. I have a great deal of personal sympathy for the impossible situation that you find yourself in. But I have to say, the statement you have made, sir, had it been made a few weeks or months ago, would have been extremely welcome. But I have very grave doubts, given the appalling situation we find ourselves in, this midden of the House's own making, that any action taken by members of this House will actually restore the trust that we need. And therefore, is it not necessary, and can you assist us in this, Mr. Speaker, is it not necessary for this House to resolve to accept unequivocally the results of Sir Christopher Kelly's decisions? Okay, is it not necessary?
I must stop the honourable member. I cannot give an assurance as to what any organisation, the proposals of any organisation will be accepted by this House. This House must make that exception. But order, let me finish. I think I must clarify a certain situation that, and I said it in the statement, Sir Christopher Kelly will not report until the autumn, and therefore steps have to be taken within this House. Now, did they have another point of order? I don't want to...
Further to that point of order, Mr. Speaker, what I was asking was that the House be given an opportunity to resolve to accept the recommendations of that independent committee, to resolve to remove the remaining barriers to transparency so that everything can be revealed as soon as possible, and also to accept that those honourable and right honourable members who put us into this position by resisting reform cannot possibly be the right people to lead us out of the market.
Well, I say to the honourable gentleman, until resolutions are put forward, and I hope that they come forward for the meeting that I propose, then only, and that with the Leader of the House will have that responsibility, that only then can the House proceed. And also I say that you mentioned transparency. Yes, as I've stated, I've heard leaders of the party and others talk about many issues, some of which were brought up on the 3rd of July by the committee which I chair. And what I can say on that one is that anything about transparency can be on the agenda at the meeting within 48 hours and hopefully can be translated into a resolution with which this House can consider. A point of order, sir.
Mr. Speaker, the times that we are living in are unprecedented as far as Parliament is concerned. What is at stake is the institution of Parliament and its integrity. And, Mr. Speaker, could I just say that I very much hope you will take account of the fact that there is profound concern voiced in this motion that is to go down tomorrow. Could I ask you, sir, to bear in mind that the condition of the House today is rather like the condition of the country at the time of the Norway debate. And could you reflect on that?
A point of order, sir.
No.
I cannot hear the honourable gentleman. Order.
Convening within 48 hours. Can you put the suggestion to Sir Christopher Kelly what resources he would need to bring his report forward from the autumn? Because it seems wholly unacceptable that if it's a question of resources, they should be made available to enable him to do this, certainly as speedily as 1 month from now. And I would urge you to discuss that with the party leaders and the House Commission.
Take on board what the honourable gentleman has had to say. Mr Hoyle.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Would it not be possible for a very early interim report to be brought forward for Kelly, something that we could adopt to actually make the changes more immediate?
I've heard what the honourable gentleman has had to say. The honourable gentleman.
Sir, the reputation and standing of this House, in the views of those that send us here, as at the lowest point that I can ever remember, and that this is a constitutional crisis when we have to now hear a statement about the future, when many out there will not believe that we are serious about the changes that are necessary as long as you are in the chair. And that is the terrible situation we are. It is with the greatest sadness and thing that I even have to raise this point. There is a motion on the order paper, and it should be debated, and the government should acknowledge that it will be.
But what the honourable gentleman is doing through a point of order is debating the matter just now. If he's got if the honourable gentleman's got a point of view about me, I don't deny him that right. But he knows the rules of the House, and through a point of order, it's not a debate that he can enter into. Well, if the honourable gentleman doesn't know that, then no one will know. Order, Sir Stewart.
Mr Speaker, sir, the majority in this House will fully support the statement you made today. And the majority in this House will fully accept that it has never been, in the history of our land, such an attack upon the Speaker of the House of Commons. There has never been such an attack upon the chairmanship of this House and the speakership of this House. Is it not appropriate that the steps that you are taking, with the steps that Sir Christopher Kelly is taking, with the steps that the Prime Minister has asked for, and a review of 4 years of our expenses, that all of this is designed to restore public confidence and public trust, and that this House should calm itself down, should have a period of reflection, and should support you as a Speaker is entitled to be supported.
All I say to the honourable gentleman is this, is that the House of Commons Commission, which this House created and under statute as order, as far as I know, is under statute, that the House of Commons Commission has a responsibility. The party leaders, all of them, including the minority parties, have a responsibility. And what I'm saying is that let all of the parties involved meet and discuss this matter. That has never happened. What has happened is one party has said one thing, the Prime Minister said another, the Liberal Party said another, and other individual members have had a point of view. For the first time, people will be under one roof talking about this matter. A point of order, sir.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's a sad day for all of us today. The point you made earlier, I'm sure, is absolutely right, that this is an early day motion, not a substantive motion. Is it within the power of a backbencher to put down a substantive motion, and if so, how?
It could become a substantive motion were it to be placed on the effective orders of the day. On the order, it needs to be on the order paper, not on the remaining.
It has to be on the order paper and not on the remaining orders.
And the government control that.
And that is a matter for the government, not for the chair. Order. I think Mr Spink.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and I welcome, as I'm sure the House must welcome, your statement today. Difficulties we're in.
I should be able to hear an honourable member.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The whole House must welcome your statement today, so thank you. Sir, in view of the recess that we're facing next week, will you be able to come to the House and make a further statement following your meeting with the party leaders? And following that statement, can we have a debate so that I can make it plain that my constituents, as most people's constituents, do not want to see you made a scapegoat for the actions of these members?
Can I say to the honourable gentleman, I will make a statement as soon as I'm in a position to do so regarding the report back. But I assure you that I will keep the House informed in every way possible. The honourable lady.
Mr. Speaker, I ask for your guidance whether there is anything within your power to guide the government to provide us with an opposition day debate in which this matter, which most of the House wish to debate, could be brought forward as a substantive motion.
Order, I have no responsibility for the subject of debate. Now, what I've got to be clear is this, is that I am not continuing with what seems to be a debate on this matter. I made a statement, but to be helpful, the honourable gentleman, Sammy Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, can I say that I welcome the opportunity which there will be, not just for the main parties in this House, but also for the minority parties in this House, to have a discussion on this issue with you and to bring forward recommendations, because I believe, as other members have said, that the very reputation, not just of this House, but the future of good governance in the United Kingdom is at stake. But could I ask, Mr. Speaker, can you give us an assurance that after those discussions that we will quickly have a report to this House as to the outcome of those discussions so that this matter can be put behind us and settled?
I will do that. I promise I will do that. Mr. Field.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The members for Scunthorpe and Bury North have confessed to claiming fraudulently tens of thousands of pounds of taxpayers' money for phantom mortgage claims.
Order, please. Order. Now, we've got to be careful here about what we say. There are things I could have said from the chair expressing anger about certain things. I had to be careful, and I've got to ask honourable members to do so also. I caution the honourable gentleman, not for my sake, but for his sake. He shouldn't say this. And in fact, I've got to stop him. I've got to stop him saying it. I've got to stop him saying it, and I give him good advice. Order. I inform the House in the main business I have selected the amendments in the name of the Prime Minister. Order. Please leave the... And we now come to the opposition 11th allotted day skills and recession. Wait. Thanks for the lovely letter. Yeah. Order. To repeat myself, I have selected the amendments in the name of the Prime Minister, and it's the Opposition Day Skills in Recession. To move, David Willits.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move the motion in the names of my right honourable friends and